Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me here on CloudChats. Today, I have a special guest, Ross Feldman, but before that, I'm Pat Martinez with Leadership in the Clouds. We're a management consulting firm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a global footprint. In any case, one of the very important people that work with us and part of the alliance that we call the LITC Alliance is Ross Feldman. Ross will be turning on his camera now. He's joined us. Thank you, Ross, for being here today.
Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You know, Ross, you're an amazing man. You come in and you take care of everything that we have to do in our cyber world. Um, I just want to kick it off with just before I ask you any questions about why you started with the company and everything, but just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Ross Feldman, live in Monroe, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte. I've lived in the area about 31 years. This is home for me. Married 15 years to my wife, Stephanie, and I have an 11-year-old son, Levi.
Wow. You know, it just seems like yesterday. I remember meeting you when you were Levi. How old is Levi?
He's 11 now,
I think I met you around that time,
probably. Yeah,
wow.
about that time.
So, and it's full circle. Here we go. You started Better Call IT, Better Call It, but Better Call IT, a while ago. What inspired you to start that company, and what makes the approach that you have to technology so different from the traditional IT providers?
Absolutely. My parents had a small business. They had several small businesses, and I always had a knack for troubleshooting and helping people, and it just aligned very closely. They needed help with their website, they needed help with their copier, their PC, their dial-up, their music on hold, pretty much everything. So I learned all the different skills that were needed and applied them directly.
How did you come up with the name?
It was when you're in trouble, you better call IT.
All the time. That's all you have you on speed dial, most people do. Um,
Absolutely.
so how many years ago did you start the company?
25 years.
25 years. What has changed for you in the company?
Um, the company has serviced many different industries and verticals over those years. It was a consulting firm, it was a training shop. Now we're considered what's called a managed services provider. We provide security, cybersecurity for businesses and individuals in the 24/7, 365 manner. We have something called a SOC, a Security Operations Center, that is always monitoring and always mitigating threats automatically so the rest of us can sleep.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're talking about threat. We'll talk about cybersecurity in a moment, but I want to ask you this question about a small business owner as we are. How do you help small business owners bridge the gap between technology and business strategies? That's so important these days.
Absolutely. You don't have a business without business strategy, and your technology needs the same love and attention. We want to understand how your business makes money so that you can be able to work more on that side and not have the headache that technology is. We want to alleviate that headache. We want to be able to give solutions and provide what is needed to be able to make the business move forward.
How do you get your business?
Word of mouth referrals are really strong. Happy customers get me other happy customers. I do a lot of networking around Charlotte. Actually started up a website specifically for it called the Charlotte Networking Hub, which lists all the networking events that are happening in Charlotte every month. So you just subscribe and you can be able to get instant access to it.
You have a weekly show or a monthly show? I've seen you on having these podcasts or chats
Exactly. I
with
started.
experts. Are they experts in IT as well?
Yeah. The IT on Call podcast is connecting where business and technology intersects. So I've been bringing on business owners to be able to find out more about how technology operates in their business and where technology can bring efficiencies into their business.
I've heard it's very interesting the people you have on. Sometimes you just ponder conversations. It seems like you're both brainstorming on a subject matter,
Mhm.
and then you come out with a solution. But you knew the solution, it's just that you're sharing how the process is.
Exactly. How the sausage is made.
How the sausage, nobody wants to know how the sausage is made. We just like the taste. And that
Exactly.
happens with IT. A lot of times, you have people that are impatient. They say, well, why can't you fix this? You have to take time and figure out what's going on behind the curtains, so to speak. So you're kind of like a wizard. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I'm also a therapist. I definitely spend most of my time talking people off the ledge when their technology wasn't going right, but we try to get it back on track.
I remember, I will confess that I was one of those people. I remember back in the day, I used to have a thing about cleaning out my computer and cleaning out cookies. And I don't know, one day everything stopped. And I remember you conversation we had that wasn't a cookie, Pat. It may look like hieroglyphics, but it's not a cookie, it's an operating system. So you do a lot for business owners that trying at the beginning, it was me, myself, and I. And then I had you. I said, well, if I need IT, better call IT. And that's what I did. What are the common tech mistakes you find businesses make and how can they avoid them?
Yeah, definitely. When you think about your HVAC or your plumbing, you hire a professional. I know small business owners wear a lot of hats, and I see them. They can probably figure stuff out. They're pretty smart. They got their business off the ground at some point, but they're spending a lot of time and spinning their wheels working on tech headaches that they really shouldn't. They should just call a professional in and have them solve it quickly and efficiently.
You do. You know, the other day I had a question about something and you came in. I thought it was going to be an hour or two, and it was like a half hour. So like, quick. Actually, it was under a half hour and it was very quick and it was painless. For me, you send the invoice, you do it very, very quickly. You take care of the problem, you send the invoice, we pay, we're good because then we can operate. In this day and age, you know, small business owners are using a lot of platforms. What do you suggest for a business owner like myself? You know that I have a lot of platforms. We believe working smarter, not harder. I won't go into AI yet, but I'm just talking about basic platforms and things that we're using to integrate. What is your some of your suggestions for a new business owner? Let's start there.
A new business owner has a decision to make whether or not they want to use the Google Workspace platform or the Microsoft 365 platform. I base it on what they're comfortable with. If it's Outlook, we'll do 365. If they like Gmail, we'll do Google Workspace. I've worked with plenty of owners that needed to make that decision, and we had to make that decision early. But if they made the decision and they changed their mind, there's a migration path between the two products that we're able to move email services and data between Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, and vice versa. So those can still happen. I see a lot of project management needing to happen, and those products have some basic tasks capabilities and basic project management capabilities. But when it goes beyond that, there's a product called Asana. When it comes to when you want to do a Kanban board, there's a product called Trello. So there's a lot of different products that are out there, a lot of different platforms, and we end up using about average a dozen for each business. Try to keep it as limited as possible, but it's just that some products function better than other products.
You know, when we talk about the websites, and I know that you're not a website designer, but in the IT space, you've come in to help us with problems that we thought we had connections and you discovered we didn't, whatever. So you've been instrumental in the consulting space. How do you consult businesses that want to just pick your brain at these? You do a lot of networking. I see you out there having the tables. Do they ask you at the events or are they giving you one-on-one time?
Yeah, definitely. I have a bookable schedule through a product called Calendly, and I offer half an hour increments of time for consulting just to answer questions. And I encourage people to use that schedule. It's called scheduleross.com is the shortcut for it, and that gets you straight to the website. And it's open to anyone who's interested in having a discussion about their IT. With my regular monthly clients, we have our monthly cadence or quarterly cadence that we talk about technology and what the future of the business looks like. It just depends on what speed their business is operating at.
Hmm. I should look into that now that I think of it. But that's another conversation altogether. You know, we talk about platforms and spaces and things like that, and I love IT. I always have. I love AI. You know, I know that I use avatars to do our marketing because we are, even though we have a marketing team, they invested in this AI process and they wanted to do, and I have an avatar of myself, which is kind of creepy because I'm not talking, but it's me. Um, Sometimes I don't like the hairstyle that they choose, but it's another story altogether. So, A business owner or just people in general, how are they maximizing AI in the workspace or in the workplace?
AI has been around for a few years now. It's just become more of the daily jargon, the chat GPT democracy that's brought AI to the table for free for many people. Um, it's a lot of garbage in, garbage out, that if you write a prompt into an AI and you don't provide enough detail, you won't get a very good response. It's very popular to do a prompt that's verbose and gives a lot of detail, and gives the AI more information. So the more information you can plug in, the better it can make its decisions and provide results. There's AI is something like YouTube has had AI for a very long time, the algorithm, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
They read what you watch and produce more content like what you've watched or what you've thumbs up or thumbs down, what you comment on, what you interact with to keep you on the platform. The chat bots that we interact with every day, they're fed with something called a knowledge base. That knowledge base is documentation. The more documentation you feed to an AI chatbot, the better that AI chatbot is able to do its first level triage, ask the right questions, do the right person flow. So it's definitely one of those, feeding it with a large language model, giving it the right information gets you a better AI result.
And sticking with AI, I know it's been around for a long time because artificial intelligence, even you could even say back in the day when the computers started coming out and the internet and everything started evolving. Um, but there's still people that are resistant to it. How do you help business owners embrace AI and say, you can use X, Y, and Z for integration. You can use this platform. How do you coach them off the ledge, so to speak, when they say no,
Absolutely.
no, no, no AI, and they found that that's a hindrance in their business?
Yeah, I mean, there's ones who, ideal businesses that are still paper and pen. They have been resistant to every level of technology. I advise to, what does efficiency look like to you? If efficiency is writing with both hands, then you write with both hands. But bringing in technology and having it being able to move your business forward and take you from 2x to 10x, it's definitely, uh, technology is there to help you, not be a hindrance, to help you be more efficient. AI is there to take some menial tasks out of your hands so that you can be able to get the basics done without having to do it yourself by hand. There's creative side of it too. If you're looking for ideas and you want to have a conversation, you can have a conversation with AI and say, "Hey, I'm thinking XYZ," and bounce ideas back and forth and have that collaborative effect. Can also happen in there. So it has a lot to do with people becoming comfortable. We're talking about self-driving cars, that people are not yet comfortable with having them on the road, let
Yeah.
alone being a passenger in a self-driving car. But as the technology advances and it becomes more part of the zeitgeist, then people will become more comfortable with it over time. It's just how it's always been. We're on Zoom, we're on webcams, we're on video chats. That was foreign in 1999,
Yep.
but it's become normal. So it just took 25 years. So, that's what it takes sometimes, is just time for technology to interact.
I know I've been on, I guess you can use the conversations on the old time computers where they used to have the dial-up and the sounds of the dial-up. You could be able to go do dinner, clean up the kitchen, come back and still get the phone call going. Now we're in Zoom and it's instantaneous, or you can do any kind of platform that you need to use to connect. Our company, that's how we do our training because we train around the country but also around the world. Now we have two clients, one in New Zealand and soon to be in Brazil. So, not that I'm asking anyone to be awake at 4 a.m. to do a class, but technology is, it could be a benefit. The other side of the coin is the fear factor. Just like people used to use maps to go to locations, they had to get used to GPS. And GPS is great because sometimes it can be wrong if you have a new development, they haven't put out the street name, But all in all, I think 99.9% of the time you hit pay dirt. You go where you need to go. So with that said, that's the other side of the coin, the fear factor. How do you remove the fear when you talk about cybersecurity and risk assessment? Because businesses are at risk. All of us, we have to have firewalls. We have to make sure that we maintain who we are. How do you what is, first of all, let's start from the beginning. What is cybersecurity risk assessment, and how do you do that in your business? How do you
Sure.
assess that?
Cybersecurity risk assessment is one of the services I offer where we sit down, we talk about your business, we talk about your current cyber hygiene, and just go through from your phone systems to your backup strategies, just to kind of see where your baseline looks like. We can be able to take that information and convert it into what services you need to be able to protect your business. The thing with breaches is it's not if you're going to get breached, it's when you're going to get breached. There's very popular thing called business email compromise, BEC. They're sending you links in your email that says, I have a proposal for you, click here. You click here and you get a pop-up that looks like Microsoft 365, or you get a pop-up that looks like Google Workspace, and you're just used to signing in all the time. So you just sign in mindlessly, but you didn't sign in on Google. You didn't sign in on Microsoft. You signed in on a malicious server that was set to grab your credentials and your MFA and your token and take over your connection with either Microsoft or Google and impersonate you and break in. So we're just trying to take those risks, mitigate those risks, protect you against them. Human factor is always going to be a big risk, especially when you have a lot of staff. That they are busy working and they're not thinking and they're clicking, and that's just we educate. We try to teach cybersecurity hygiene and do a cybersecurity training every year for them, and then do micro trainings in between through different products that we have. So definitely providing the services that are needed for business to keep them safe and protected.
We have a conference coming up that we're called Success in Mind, and IT cybersecurity is on the minds of many of our business owners. Um, some of them are mom and pops. We found when we went down to Florida, we were trying to regroup and connect with some people, and we found some businesses there, just like everywhere else in every single state in the United States, probably globally. You have mom and pop situations, or you have very small under 10 people working there, or you have over 1,000. So, how do you educate or how do you help somebody with a limited budget or with an extensive budget? How do you do these things that you're talking about, even sitting down and saying, let me do the cybersecurity or what is it, IT hygiene and
Mhm.
see what we're going on?
Yeah, we have products that are very flexible and very affordable that we put in that have pre-recorded trainings, animated trainings that are very interactive, that are very intriguing, that bring in the attention of associates, and then we give them an assessment after to see if they learned what they're supposed to learn, and they get a score. We also do something called phishing simulations where we send those fake um, phishing emails. And if you
Oh.
click, it says, oh, you got caught. You need to go do some more training. And which with that, we can be able to do reporting against which associates are the ones that are most at risk that click the links they shouldn't click. And then the associates that can be rewarded for reporting spam to the central system. So there are capabilities that are extensible and affordable in both directions.
So how would someone be able to reach you? Not only with Better Call IT, but if somebody needs to just do you have different levels when you're saying it depends what they need and they do their own thing? If they just know their what they need, can they go ahead and just contact you and say, I just need you to come in and maybe integrate something? Do you do
Exactly.
piecemeal work, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, the business has been around long enough that we've done project-based work, we've done consulting-based work, and we've done managed-based work. So it all
Mhm.
depends on the needs of the business, the size of the business, the growth of the business. The best way to contact me is that scheduleross.com link that goes right on my calendar. You choose initial consultation. We'll have initial consultation, work through whatever woes you're having, be able to really, we become your partner. We really are interested in your business and understanding your business so that we can be able to provide the right services that fit your needs.
You've been an Alliance member for some time now, and you've helped many people. I've seen you at the chamber. You get involved in networking events. Not only small businesses, but corporations should be able to benefit from this. How do you work with corporate? Are they any different, or it's the same kind of conversation that you're having?
I would say there's more red tape when it comes to corporate America. There's a lot of boxes they want checked before any conversations can be had, and then there's a proposal, and then there's billing, and there's
Yeah.
different types of layers with it. So the technology is still very similar, but the scale is what's different,
Mhm.
and the deployment and the impact. And we want to do um, change control of not just the technology, but we also want to do the people side of things. Communicating is extremely important when change is occurring, what the change is, when it's happening, and why. I think the why gets missed way too often. I see the scheduled maintenance window for a system, and they say this is the window and let us know if you have any issues, but they didn't say why. And you want to have that buy-in from your customer, your client, your staff, from them, so that they are advocates with you for whatever change you're trying to implement.
And you also work with nonprofit organizations, correct?
Actually, I feel like I have a specialty with nonprofits. I've got about a dozen nonprofit clients right now, and they are all different sizes. They're the mom and pop size nonprofits, and they're the larger corporate nonprofits. Their needs are different because their revenue is different. They do it by donations, so they have a donation management software. They have volunteers, so they have a volunteer management software, and what unfortunately happens is that too often someone gets too high level permission in the software, just default. It's easy, give them admin rights, give them admin rights. And that's, you want to have least privilege access. If someone's just there for volunteer logging, that should be the only system they should have access to, and just to log hours. They shouldn't be
Yeah.
able to go into the back end of the system or see the data or know all the users of the system. You have to keep that staff information limited so that the blast radius is also limited in case there is a breach that occurs.
When you use the word cybersecurity, and I'll end with that, our conversation there, use the word cybersecurity, people get very intimidated by that. And when you talk about risk assessment, but that goes hand in hand if you're a good business owner progressing. As we scale up leadership in the clouds, and I'm a serial, I have other businesses going, I always look at what am I doing? How can I assess the risk and minimize the costs? At the same time, minimize risk. So I call you in, but if somebody's having trouble with the word cybersecurity, what's another word that we can kind of use to ease the pain of those that are not so embracing of the new terminology?
Yeah, I like analogies. When I'm talking about fixing things, I'm talking about fixing a car. I use those kinds of analogies. When I'm talking about security, I think about the home. Do you have a fence? Is it a 1 foot high fence? Is it a 6 foot high fence? Do you lock your door? Do you have a padlock on your, do you have a deadbolt on your door? Do you have your front and your back door locked? I see that way often where they save money by locking the front door, but not locking the back door, and that's how everybody
Or
gets
not
in.
the garage door?
Not the
Yeah.
garage door. That's a great one too. The garage is another port of entry. The windows is another port of entry. So we try to make sure that we have that conversation to educate, 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 educate. When it comes to cybersecurity, the more people know about it and breathe and discuss it, the more it becomes natural, and they become more comfortable with it.
I think the education process, the road to knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So if you know that you need to secure your business, the best thing to do is better call IT. And for those of you watching us today, Ross Feldman is the easiest person to work with. You can go ahead and bring your problems or your issues, and he finds solutions. It's better than going to my doctor, I tell you. If I say something hurts, he finds a solution. And sometimes you may not want to hear what he has to offer because there's times that you just may have to upgrade and you get very attached to your units and you don't want to let go. But sometimes you have to upgrade and expand, or you have to get a hard drive, an external hard drive, whatever it may be. Data is something that we all secure in our process. So for those of you that have your small businesses, better call IT and see if Ross is available to do a risk assessment. It's not free, but it's worth it. Every single penny that you pay for securing your business will be profitable in the future. Ross Feldman, thank you so much for taking time to be with us on Cloud Chats. You're an amazing person. Through the years, you have been nothing but supportive and always on point. Anybody that knows Ross knows that he's there. And if he doesn't call you immediately, he texts you, emails you, but he does answer. So better call IT. Thank you for joining us on Leadership in the Clouds, and we'll see you in a moment.
Thank you, Pat.